I do not support the marijuana recreation movement. I'm going to tell you why. We know that cigarettes and alcohol kill more people every year than marijuana and hard drugs. More people die from cigarettes and alcohol than marijuana and hard drugs. We know that. I don't have a problem with marijuana use for medicinal purposes. Somebody got cancer, somebody got some other issue, and the marijuana, eases the pain. I have no problem. I'm not speaking of medicinal. I'm speaking of recreation. And my objection has nothing to do with health, not physical health. It has to do with mental health and political health. The last thing you need to give an oppressed, lazy-ass people is another distraction to keep their ass oppressed and lazy. So you got black folks, we ain't got no schools, we ain't got no hospitals, we ain't got no banks, we ain't got no supermarkets, we ain't got no ships, we ain't got no distribution, we ain't got no factories, we ain't got no common sense. And on top of all that, you're going to give us the right to smoke weed all day long? We will never get to where we need to be if you give us recreational drugs. It is a political sedative. This recreation marijuana movement is a movement to kill the revolutionary passion of young blacks by hooking a whole generation on dirty marijuana. And the reason I say dirty marijuana, you ain't going to sit here and tell me that the United States government doesn't have a plan to taint the drugs that come into the black community so that it affects black men's reproduction and affects black women's reproduction and causes cancer and everything else. If you think the food is killing us, wait 20 years from now when you start seeing the aftershocks of what the marijuana is going to do to us. This is part of a bigger plan that ain't got nothing to do with you being happy and high.
Medication of our children is this. Many parents buy into it.
Oh, yeah. Lord have mercy.
What could you say
about
Let me
that?
break
it down. Lord have mercy. ADD, Attention Deficit Disorder, was created out of thin air by the American Psychiatric Association in 1980. Same year, the CIA dropped off crack. This diagnosis was used almost exclusively on boys. Almost exclusively at schools where they're being taught almost exclusively by white women. But guess what? There's no drug that can make you pay attention. So in 1987, they took ADD and put an H between the two D's. And it went from attention deficit disorder to attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Why did they add the H? They added the H because there's no drug that can make you pay attention. Ritalin can't make you pay attention. Adderall can't make you pay attention. Concerta can't make you pay attention. Metadate can't make you pay attention. No drug can force you to learn about Christopher Columbus, Ellen Keller, or Anne Frank. Okay? So they said, we're going to make everybody hyper because the drugs only do one thing: disrupt natural brain activity to calm down the central nervous system. So today, if your child just don't pay attention, he ain't hyper, he just don't pay attention, he still gets labeled ADHD to justify the medication, a $30 billion industry, all of which companies are publicly traded on Wall Street. Listen, there is no mental health in America. There's no mental health. There's only mental hustling in America. They make up labels because the labels equal money and it equals stock return for their investors. Here's the question I got for white America. If drugs are bad, and you're locking up millions of black men for selling and using crack, if it ain't good for adults, I'm assuming it ain't good for children. So why is it that you will lock up a black man 5, 10, 15, 20 years for selling crack, but you will take the same crack that sent his father to prison and you will give it to his son right here in the public schools of Philadelphia and call that crack Ritalin, call that crack Adderall, call that crack Concerta, call that crack Metadate, call that crack Cycler, and give it to the boy whose daddy got locked up for selling it, but you'll give it to his son so he can sit still long enough to be miseducated by lazy-ass white teachers who don't give a damn about whether your son learns or not. That's why I titled my book, Psychoacademic Holocaust. This is an extermination.
And parents are being made to buy into or being seduced.
They're being seduced. I love that word. There you go. They're being seduced. Because when you go to the school about your child, they're not going to tell you that Ritalin kills the brain cells. They're not going to tell you that Metadate will mess with your son psychologically. He might start hallucinating. They're not going to tell you that these drugs mess with your organs, stunt your growth, cause tic disorder, psychosis, depression, suicidal thoughts. They're not going to tell you none of that. Well, we have some medicine for you. It has worked wonders for other boys in our school. And the mother, single, 4 kids, 3 kids. Most black kids are raised by the mother. Not because fathers are no good, but because all the fathers are in jail. And the white feminist movement has convinced black women that the black man is her problem. So not only is the father not there because the white man disadvantaged him, the white woman tells the black woman that he's a lazy, shiftless Negro and don't have a job because he don't want to work. And they say, instead of worrying about these black men, go get you a nice white man like Senator Kamala Harris wants to do with the White House. Put a white man in front of our black daughters and say, hey, you don't need black men anymore. Come get a white one. Just like the Meghan Markle marriage to Prince Harry. Same thing, selling black girls white men. And it's all in the favor of what? Destruction of the black family. And the moms don't know. But here's what happens. They give into it because they think it's going to help, right? And it does. He now sits still, but he's also sleeping all day. You follow me? All day. Now he ain't learning. Now he don't want to eat, or he overeating, gaining too much weight, losing too much weight. Now the mother says he ain't taking that no more. Then guess what the school does? Child Protective Services, DHS. I would like to make a report. We have a young man at our school, 8-year-old Randy Jackson. He's been diagnosed with ADHD. He's been prescribed Ritalin and Concerta. And we found out today from him, because we don't teach our kids to keep their damn mouth shut. We found out from little Randy that his mother hasn't given him his medicine in over 2 weeks. This is an anonymous report. Next thing you know, they're knocking at the mother's door, investigating her. And guess what they do? They're going to threaten her. Put him back on them drugs. If you don't put him back on the drugs, we're taking Randy. But guess what? We're not only going to take Randy. We're going to take Rashida. We're going to take Raheem. We're going to take Raquita. We taking all the kids because that's what they do. They don't just take the one. They find you unfit and they take all your kids out your house. It's called medical neglect. That's the new word. I want everybody to hear this. Medical neglect. Failure to give your child psychiatric medications for a diagnosis that you can't even prove exists. Do you know you can't even prove ADHD? Did you know you can't prove conduct disorder? Did you know you can't prove oppositional defiant disorder? And guess what else you can't prove? You can't prove a reading disability, and you can't prove a math disability. And guess what? Most black kids in special ed for reading and math, they don't have reading and math learning disabilities. They got lazy disabilities. Their asses is lazy. They don't want to learn. They don't want to apply themselves. And they got a mother and father at home that's just as lazy as they are. That's why I want my own school. It won't be no special ed, won't be no Ritalin, won't be no ADHD, won't be no conduct disorder. So then parents say, well, Dr. Umar, if you're not going to have special ed, if you're not going to have a program for the learning disabled, if you ain't going to get an ADHD boy's medicine, how are you going to deal with this? Real simple. For the ones who can't sit still, we're going to work their ass so much they'll be begging for some downtime. You understand? Because we black men. You understand? We know how. Oh, you don't want to sit still? Come. We're going to clean up the whole neighborhood tonight. Oh, yeah. Oh, you over there? You got a reading disability? Well, I got good news for you. Your ass come to school on Saturdays, too. You got a math disability? Your ass is in school right after church. After white Jesus, you got these white textbook pages. We don't know how to say no to white people. Listen, I was on the phone today helping some parents out. First grader in special ed for a reading disability. 6 years old. How the hell you got a reading disability at 6? Your ass just learned your alphabet. So guess what I asked the mother? Why did you decide to let a 6-year-old child get evaluated by white people for special ed. Guess what she told me? The teacher thought it was a good idea. What did you think? You his damn mother. Didn't you carry him? She said, I didn't think he needed it, but the teacher did. So you see what's going on? We subjugate our own mind and opinion to what white folks want to do with our kids. Most black parents give me the same answer. Why did you do this? They asked me to. So if a white man pull up and tell your ass to get in the truck, you going to get in the truck? It's like soon when white folks walk in, we lose our mind and start doing whatever the hell they want us to do. Learn how to just say no.
Now the effects of these drugs.
Oh man, kill brain cells, cause suicidal thinking. When I was working on my doctorate, I had a Jewish professor tell me in class. At least 10 to 15% of the violence in the inner cities is directly attributed to the side effects of childhood psychiatrics. He told me that in class. Why you don't hear that on CNN? So you got the school psychologist in the school district that put him in special ed. But now you got to get evaluated by the Social Security Administration psychologist to determine if you really have an impairment. And then you'll get your little $650 a month. Is that worth it though? Is $650 a month worth your son walking around for the rest of his life thinking he can't be as good as other children? And let me be clear, in my professional opinion, 20 years, I would consider myself an expert. In my professional opinion, the worst outcome or side effect of special ed isn't the special ed. It isn't the low outcomes. It's the child's self-esteem. His belief that he can't do as well as others because the adults in his life have convinced him that he has a disorder that can't even be proven to exist. The learning disability is a goddamn lie.